Jesus told some amazing stories, and today we're going to unpack two of his shortest, but maybe most profound parables: the hidden treasure and the pearl of great price. Now, most of us hear these and think, okay, this is about how we're supposed to go all in searching for God. But what if we've been reading them backwards this whole time? Let's get into it.
Yeah, this is the big question we're tackling. The usual take is that we are the seeker, right? We're the one who has to sell everything we own to get to God. But what if that's not the point at all? What if the roles are totally flipped? What if Christ is the one doing the searching, and he's the one paying the price? So it's no accident that these two little stories are sitting right next to each other in Matthew chapter 13. Jesus put them there for a reason. They're not just two random lessons. They're actually two halves of one huge, incredible story about redemption. We're going to see exactly how they fit together. Okay, let's start with the first one, the parable of the hidden treasure. This is our first clue in this sort of divine mystery. So the verse says, a man finds this treasure, hides it again, and then, out of sheer joy, he goes and sells everything he has to buy that field. The wording is so simple, but man, it is packed with meaning. He's not just buying the treasure, notice that. He buys the entire field to get it. And that little detail, it is absolutely key. All right, so let's break down the symbols here. Who's the buyer, the one who pays this incredible price? Well, that's got to be Jesus Christ. And the field? Conveniently, in the very same chapter, Jesus tells us himself, the field is the world. Simple enough. So what's the treasure? In this view, the treasure is God's covenant people, the nation of Israel. Scattered across the world, hidden, but still so precious to him. And see, this picture is just brilliant. It shows us that Christ's sacrifice was big enough for the whole world. He buys the whole field, right? All to get his hands on that specific treasure he values. He's securing them, guaranteeing their future. That's purchase number one. But then, right after telling that story, Jesus completely changes the imagery. He switches gears. So let's look at that second parable. Because how it connects to the first one, well, that's where things get really interesting. You gotta notice the big shift here. In that first story, the guy just stumbles upon the treasure, right? It seems kind of like an accident. But in this next story, the buyer is a merchant, and he is intentionally searching. He is on a very specific mission, looking for something in particular. So the text says, he's a merchant seeking fine pearls. And then he finds one pearl. One that's so valuable it makes all the others look like nothing. And what does he do? Same as the first guy. He sells everything he has to buy it. The pattern is there for sure, but it's the differences between the two stories that really unlock the whole thing. So once again, we know who the buyer is. It's Jesus, the merchant on a divine quest. But what about this one pearl of great value? Well, if the treasure was Israel, then this single perfect pearl, it represents the church, a totally new thing, completely distinct from the treasure. And think about why Jesus chose a pearl. The symbolism is just genius. For one, where do pearls come from? The sea. And in the Bible, the sea is often a symbol for the Gentile nations. Then there's how a pearl is made. It's not mined from the ground. It's formed inside a living creature, layer by painstaking layer, turning something that was an irritant into something beautiful. That is a perfect picture of the church, built up person by person throughout history. And finally, a treasure is a bunch of different pieces, right? But a pearl, it's one single unified object. It represents the one body of the church. It's just perfect. So, okay, we've got two parables, two totally different treasures, but there's this one critical thread that ties them both together. It's the key that shows us this has all been one unified plan from the very beginning. There it is. That's the phrase. It shows up in both stories, word for word. This is the connecting piece, the action that gets him both the treasure and the pearl. So the big question is, what does it mean? Well, selling all, for Jesus, that was the ultimate sacrifice, wasn't it? It meant leaving all the glory of heaven to become one of us, that's the incarnation, and it ended with him giving his own life on the cross, the crucifixion. That was the purchase price. And this brings us to the absolute heart of it. These stories are not a how-to guide for earning our salvation, because salvation isn't something you earn, it's a gift. The one giving up everything isn't the sinner trying to climb their way to God. No, it's the Savior, paying a price he didn't owe for us. Okay, so let's put all the pieces together now. When you see these two stories not as separate, but as one combined picture,
God's whole plan for redemption just snaps into focus. I mean, look at how this breaks down. On one side, you've got the treasure, Israel, a nation made of many individuals, found inside the field of the world. On the other side, you've got the pearl, the church, one unified body, deliberately sought out from the sea of the nations. Totally distinct objects, origins, and makeups. And yet, both were bought by the very same person, with the very same payment. It wasn't plan A and plan B. It was one magnificent plan with two amazing results. So what did that single sacrifice on the cross actually do? Well, for one, it preserved God's treasured nation, Israel, ensuring their future restoration. And at the exact same time, it created something new. The church, his redeemed bride, made up of people from every nation on earth. So you have two simple parables, pointing to one single history-altering event, the cross, all accomplished by one incredible Redeemer. It's just a stunning, complete picture of God's redemptive plan. And that really just leaves us with one final thought to chew on. When you stop seeing yourself as the one who has to buy the treasure and start seeing yourself as the treasure that was bought, how does that change everything? How does that change your view of your own value, your security, and your place in God's incredible unfolding story?